All right, welcome in everyone to our deep dive all about brand management. Looks like you're ready to take your business to that next level. Yeah, some fascinating excerpts here from Mastering Brand Management, Strategies for Success. So we're going to unpack like the real meat and potatoes here,
Yeah,
what actually makes a brand work and also some of the pitfalls to avoid. Ready to dissect some branding brilliance.
absolutely. Let's dive in. You know, brand management is often confused with just marketing,
Yeah.
but it's a way bigger concept.
So how does the source material define brand management? I see this phrase, carefully shaping public perception. It sounds kind of manipulative when you put it like that.
Well, I think the key word there is strategic shaping. That's what really makes the difference. I like to think of it like this. Marketing gets you that first date, but brand management is what makes them want a second date. So marketing brings in the customers, yeah? But brand management is how you influence those customers so they keep coming back for more, build that lasting relationship.
I like that analogy. So it's not about tricks, it's about that deeper connection, going beyond just buying a product.
Exactly. And that connection, it's built on every single interaction that someone has with your brand.
So way bigger picture than just like logos and advertising then. It's everything about the business.
Think about a brand that you really love. Could be anything, a store, a product. Now think about what makes it so special, those little things, those details, how clean the store is, how friendly the staff are. That all builds up to the overall experience of the brand.
Yeah, you're right. Never really thought of those small details as part of brand management, but you're right. All adds up to create a feeling, an impression of the brand.
And those impressions, that's what sticks with people, what makes them choose you over your competition, recommend you to friends, and ultimately become loyal customers.
So it's about making sure those impressions are good ones, right?
Exactly. This source material, it really hits on the fact that you need to know your audience to do that.
So aligning your brand with your target market, that's got to be crucial. I mean, like they say in here, blasting Frank Sinatra in a trendy clothing store.
Hmm.
That's probably going to send the wrong message. You really got to make sure your brand matches the values of your customer, right?
Yeah, it even goes deeper than just the surface level demographics. You got to understand their values, their interests, even their lifestyle. What kind of experience are they looking for?
Don't just target a niche. Think about that bigger picture. Okay, so you've got a great understanding of your target market now. How do we build those strong, lasting connections with these customers? This source mentions that happy customers are a brand's best advocates. But how do we make them happy?
Well, consistently exceeding their expectations, that's key. Things like incredible customer service, great prices, and always deliver on those promises you make. Build that
So
trust.
not about manipulation, but genuinely giving your customers what they need.
Exactly. And if we think about that phrase from before, strategically manipulating perception, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. You're guiding perceptions toward a genuinely good experience.
Yeah, like building a relationship based on respect. You give customers what they want, they give you loyalty and tell others. But the world of business is constantly changing. How do you keep a brand fresh? How do you keep it from getting stale?
Well, you got to be adaptable, willing to evolve. The source even mentions that massive brands like Apple, they've changed dramatically over time. They had to adapt. Got to be on the lookout for new trends, see how your customers' preferences are changing.
So staying on top of trends, being open to trying new things, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's talk about protecting your brand. I was kind of surprised that the source talked about trademarks boosting customer confidence.
Yeah, it might seem kind of counterintuitive, but think of it like this. A trademark tells your customers you're serious about your brand.
Mm.
Like you're invested in protecting the quality and the authenticity of what you offer.
Shows you're willing to stand behind your product. What about sponsorship? They mention that in the source as part of brand management. I can see how that's more than just marketing.
Well, think about it like this. When you align yourself with the right events or organizations or even other businesses, that can send a powerful message. Like if you sponsor a local charity, you're showing that you care about the community.
So you're building those positive associations, that perception, in a subtle way. Okay, now for the part I think a lot of people struggle with, branding mistakes. Where do brands tend to go wrong? What can we learn?
The source highlights three major pitfalls. Not doing enough research, being too rigid, and mishandling mistakes when they happen.
Let's start with research. Why is that so important?
Well, to build a successful brand, you really got to understand your market. If you don't do your research, it's like wandering around a maze in the dark. You're going to bump into a lot of walls.
Don't assume you know your market. Get out there and do the work. Okay, what about being too rigid? Why is that so bad?
Well, the world's constantly changing. Brands have to change with it. Got to stay relevant. If you're clinging to outdated ideas, you're going to fall behind.
Like trying to sell cassette tapes these days, right? You got to keep up. Okay, lastly, mishandling mistakes. We all make them, but how you handle them is everything.
Transparency is key here. When a brand tries to hide their mistakes, it just destroys trust. It damages their reputation. But owning up to mistakes, trying to fix things, that builds stronger relationships.
Yeah, turn a negative into a positive. Show that you're human. People appreciate honesty, right?
Yeah.
So if you do mess up, what's the best way to do damage control?
Well, it comes down to three things. Own the mistake, communicate with your customers, and then actually fix the problem. And just as important, learn from it, make sure it doesn't happen again.
Transparency, action, learning from experience. I like it. What if you're feeling lost, though? What if you need some help? What resources does the source suggest for brand management?
Well, they mentioned a few good places to start. Doing some online research, revisiting your business plan, and even considering bringing in some help from an expert.
Online research is a no-brainer. There's so much out there. But where should you start?
Start with stuff that's specific to your industry,
Hmm.
articles, blog posts, case studies, see what others are doing.
So if you run a clothing store, you'd look for articles on other clothing brands.
Exactly. But you can also find useful resources on just general branding principles, things that'll apply across any industry.
They also mentioned going back and looking at your business plan to get a clearer picture of your vision for your brand.
Yeah, your business plan, it's the roadmap for your entire business. And your brand strategy should be a core part of that.
It's like a reminder of what you set out to do, your core values and goals. And if things haven't gone perfectly, you can reassess and make adjustments.
Keep your brand aligned with your business objectives.
Now, what about expert help? The source mentions hiring a specialist, a brand manager. What are the benefits of doing that?
Well, they can give you a fresh perspective, help you see things you might be missing, and they can develop a strategy that's specific to your goals, like having a personal coach for your brand.
Exactly. They guide you through the process, give you valuable insights, keep you accountable for actually implementing your strategy.
What if you're on a tight budget, though? Are there more affordable options?
Yeah, definitely. The source mentions looking into local business enterprise schemes. They often connect businesses with pros who can help out, sometimes at reduced rates. And they might even have info on grants for brand management.
So don't be afraid to tap into your local business community.
There are resources out there, even on a budget.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive. From defining brand management to those common mistakes, lots of info. Before we move on, let's highlight a few key takeaways. First and foremost, brand management. It's so much more than just selling a product.
It's about making a lasting impression on your audience, building those genuine connections. And to do that, you need to really understand your target market and be willing to adapt as the market changes, you know? You have to be committed to exceeding those customer expectations.
Yeah, remember, every single interaction that someone has with your brand, that contributes to their overall perception.
Pay attention to the details, stay consistent with your message, and make sure every single interaction is positive for your customer.
And don't forget, there's help out there if you need it.
Whether you're just starting out or looking to grow your brand, there are people and resources to support you. Now, are you ready to dive into some of those more advanced branding strategies?
Absolutely. Let's
Yep.
get into it.
All right, stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back with more insights and tips on how to make your brand really stand out from the crowd.
Welcome back to our deep dive. Now that we've covered some of the basics, let's look at some more, I guess you could say, advanced branding strategies for building something really unique, a really successful brand.
Okay, I'm ready to take things to the next level. What's first?
Yeah. Let's talk about storytelling. The source material doesn't really mention it specifically, but storytelling is a powerful way to influence how people see your brand and to connect with them, on a deeper level, more emotional.
I love a good story, but how does that fit in with brand management?
Well, think about the brands that you really connect with personally, the ones that really resonate with you, the ones that make you feel something. They're doing more than just selling you stuff. They're telling a story. You become part of something bigger.
Okay, so you're building a stronger emotional connection then.
Exactly. Stories, they have this unique ability to tap into our emotions, make us feel things. And when people feel something, they remember it. They connect with your brand on a personal level.
That makes sense. So how do you tell a good brand story? Where do you even start?
Well, it starts with understanding the heart of your brand. The core values. What do you stand for? What makes you different? What problem are you solving for your customers? Once you really understand that, that essence, You can start to craft a story that brings it to life.
Not just about listing features then, it's about creating a narrative, something people can connect with.
Yeah, exactly. And there are so many ways to tell that story.
Yeah.
Your website, social media, marketing materials, even customer service. It's about finding those creative ways to express your brand's personality.
It's like your brand is a character in a story, right? What are their motivations, their challenges?
That's a great way to think about it. Think about those stories you hear about how companies started, those origin stories. They work because they humanize the brand,
Hmm.
make it relatable.
So what makes a good brand story? What are the key elements?
Well, it has to be authentic, relatable, it has to engage people emotionally, and it has to be in line with your brand values, that message you're trying to send.
Like weaving a tapestry, right? Words and images, a vivid picture of what your brand is.
And don't forget about visuals. They're super important to storytelling. Images and videos, they can really effectively communicate your brand story.
A picture's worth 1,000 words, right?
Exactly. Use strong visuals, capture the essence of your brand, support that narrative,
So just to recap, why is storytelling so important for brand management?
because it's one of the most powerful tools you have to connect with your audience, to make your brand stand out from the crowd, create a memorable experience.
Go beyond those simple transactions, build relationships, shared values.
Exactly. Now let's talk about something else. Brand voice.
Okay, what do we mean when we say brand voice?
It's the personality of your brand, how you talk to your audience, the tone, the style, the language you use to express yourself, what you stand for.
So it's like how your brand's personality comes through in its communication, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just like people have different personalities, brands do too.
Okay, so how do you go about developing that, a strong and unique brand voice?
Well, again, it goes back to understanding your core values, your target audience. What kind of personality would they connect with? What tone would resonate with them?
Match your voice to the people you're trying to reach then.
Exactly. Like, think about how Wendy's uses humor on Twitter, that sassy tone. It's a choice, it works for their audience, and it makes them stand out.
Great example. So speak your audience's language, connect with them where they're at.
Yeah, and another important point, that voice, it needs to be consistent across all your communication, your website, social media, everything.
So it's not just what you say, but how you say it.
Exactly. Your brand voice, it should be a genuine reflection of who you are, your values, and it should be the same everywhere, wherever people encounter your brand.
This reminds me of brands like Old Spice or Nike. They have such a distinct voice.
Yeah, they've done a fantastic job of developing a strong, consistent voice, one that really connects with their audience.
So what are the key ingredients then for a good brand voice?
Well, it needs to be authentic, consistent, engaging, and appropriate for your audience and your industry.
Find that sweet spot where your personality shines through. Connect with your audience.
Okay, let's move on to another aspect of brand management. This is a big one. Brand experience.
We talked about customer experience before. Is this the same thing?
Well, customer experience is part of brand experience, but it's bigger than that. Brand experience is every interaction someone has with your brand, everything. Your products, your website, your social media, your marketing, even just walking into your store if you have one. It's the total impression.
So it's like every impression someone has of your brand, all those touch points.
Exactly. It's about creating this like holistic experience that's consistent, something that reinforces your brand's identity and values.
Okay, I'm seeing the difference now. So how do you create a positive, a memorable brand experience?
You got to understand the customer journey, the path they take from the moment they first hear about you, all the way to becoming a loyal customer.
Map out all the different ways someone might interact with your brand.
Exactly. Once you understand that journey, you can start to see how to make the experience better at each of those points.
So every interaction, make it positive, make it memorable, make it reflect your values.
Yeah, it's about paying attention to the little things, going above and beyond, really delight your customers.
Makes me think of brands like Disney or Apple. They're known for creating these amazing experiences.
They've definitely mastered it, yeah.
What makes a great brand experience then? What are the ingredients?
It needs to be seamless, personalized, and memorable. And again, consistent with your brand's values and message.
Something people will talk about, something they'll want to share with others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about digital marketing. It's essential these days.
Yeah, for sure. How does digital marketing fit into all of this, into your overall brand strategy?
Well, it's a really powerful way to build awareness of your brand, engage with your audience, shape how people see you. It's about using online channels to tell your story, connect with your people, where they are, you know?
So leverage those digital channels, create a more cohesive experience.
Exactly. Social media, email marketing, content marketing, SEO, paid ads, these are all tools in your toolbox. The key is to find the right mix for you, for your audience. And you got to track how you're doing, make adjustments along the way.
Be strategic then. Data driven, not just throwing stuff out there and hoping for the best.
Yeah, exactly. Digital marketing gives you so much data you can really measure your results. And then you can use that info to make your campaigns better.
How do you know if it's working though? How do you measure that?
Well, there are a bunch of key indicators you can track. Website traffic, social media engagement, email open rates, conversion rates. Set your goals and then see how you're doing. Are you reaching those goals?
So you have to be willing to experiment too, right? Try new things.
Oh, absolutely. The digital world is constantly changing. You got to stay flexible, adapt to new stuff.
Okay, let's talk about brand consistency. Why is that so important?
Consistency is key. It's how you build recognition, how you build trust. When your brand looks and sounds and feels the same, no matter where someone sees it, it makes you familiar, it makes you reliable.
So presenting that unified front no matter what, right?
Think about the brands you really trust, the ones you admire. They're consistent with their message, their visuals, their tone, their customer service. It's all connected.
It's like an orchestra, everything working together in harmony.
Exactly. That consistency creates a great experience, a memorable one. That builds trust and loyalty.
So how do you actually do that? How do you stay consistent?
Well, it starts with having a brand style guide, a clear one. This document outlines everything, your visuals, your tone, your message, any detail that contributes to the overall feel of your brand.
The rule book then.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone who works with your brand needs to have this. Employees, marketing, everyone. It makes sure you're all on the same page, working from the same set of rules. And you got to check in on things. Audit your brand's touch points. Make sure everything's still aligned with your style guide.
It's an ongoing process then, maintaining that consistency.
Yeah, it's not a one-time thing. It's a commitment. Making sure your brand stays true to itself over time.
Okay, what about brand measurement?
Well, you can't improve what you don't measure, right? Brand measurement is essential. It shows you how you're doing. It shows you what's working, what's not, so you can make better decisions. Decisions based on data, not just guessing.
A more scientific approach.
Exactly. And there are so many ways to measure how your brand's doing. Tracking website traffic, social media engagement, doing customer surveys. The important thing is to find the right methods for your brand and then use that data to make good decisions.
So be curious, always analyzing, use data to make your strategy better.
Yeah, brand management, it's a journey. You're always learning, adapting, evolving.
Before we move on, let's quickly go over those key takeaways from these more advanced strategies.
We talked about the power of storytelling, how to connect with your audience, and create a brand experience that people will remember.
And developing that unique and consistent brand voice that really speaks to your target audience.
Yeah, and remember, brand experience is everything. Every interaction someone has with your brand. And it should be seamless, it should be personal, and it should leave a good impression.
We also touched on digital marketing, all those different tools you can use. Reach your audience, tell your story, shape that perception.
And we talked about consistency, how important that is for building trust, using a style guide, doing those regular audits.
And finally, measuring your brand's performance, tracking progress, identifying what you can improve, making data-driven decisions.
These are just some of the strategies that can really help you build an amazing brand.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired, ready for the next challenge. What's next on our brand building journey?
Let's talk about innovation, how to keep your brand fresh, how to stay relevant in a world that's constantly changing.
Sounds good. Let's do it. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. We'll have more insights and tips on how to take your brand to that next level. And we're back for our final part of this deep dive on brand management. We've covered so much already, the basics, some more advanced stuff. Now let's look ahead to the future. What does it take to stay ahead of the game, keep your brand fresh and relevant, especially in a world that's constantly changing?
Well, innovation, it's all about embracing change, challenge the status quo, anticipate what your customers need before they even know they need it.
So not just keeping up with trends, but setting the trends of tomorrow then.
Exactly. Think about companies like Tesla or SpaceX. They're not just making small improvements to what's already out there. They're pushing boundaries, doing something completely new.
That takes guts, it takes a willingness to take risks and accept that sometimes you're going to fail.
Oh, failure's inevitable, especially when you're trying to innovate. It's all about learning from those mistakes, though. Use them to fuel your next idea. But it's not just about individuals taking risks. It's about the whole company culture.
How do you create that kind of culture, though? Where do you even begin?
Well, it starts at the top with the
Right.
leadership. They have to create an environment where it's okay to be creative, where it's okay to experiment, and even reward people for trying new things. You can't punish people for taking a chance, even if it doesn't work out.
Give people the freedom to think differently and the support to do it.
Exactly. And, celebrating failure is just as important as celebrating success. Learning from mistakes, that's how you innovate.
Create that safe space where people can take risks and learn. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and be open to new ideas, wherever they come from. Sometimes the best ideas, the most innovative ones, come from the most unexpected places.
So listen to your employees, listen to your customers, and maybe even listen to your competitors. That spark of inspiration, it could come from anywhere. Now, there's another term we hear a lot these days: brand purpose. What does that mean and why does it matter?
Well, brand purpose, it's bigger than just making money. It's the reason your brand exists. Why are you here? What kind of positive impact do you want to have? What difference are you making?
So it's about standing for something, right? Values that people actually care about, showing that you're committed to something bigger.
Exactly. And consumers, especially younger generations, they're drawn to that. They want to support brands that are doing good in the world.
But you can't just talk about it, right? You have to actually walk the
Right.
walk.
Absolutely. People can smell inauthenticity a mile away. Be genuine, be transparent, actually commit to making a difference. Your actions have to match your words.
Okay, so we've covered innovation, we've covered purpose. Anything else brands should be thinking about as we look to the future? Any big trends on the horizon?
Well, personalization, that's getting more and more important.
Mm.
Customers, they want you to know them, to understand their needs. They want things tailored just for them.
So no more mass marketing then. It's all about those individual interactions, more targeted.
Exactly. And technology is making that possible. AI, virtual reality, augmented reality, all this new stuff, it's changing the way brands connect with their customers.
So find those creative ways to use tech, right? Create immersive experiences, engage your audience, make it personal.
Yeah. And we can't forget about sustainability. Customers are way more aware these days of the environment, social issues. They want brands that share those values.
Build brands that are good for people, good for the planet, right?
The future of brand management, it's about authenticity, purpose, and sustainability.
This has been a really great deep dive, honestly. Covered so much, I feel like I learned a ton. Really valuable insights.
Glad to hear it.
Before we sign off, one final thought for our listener. Brand management, it's not a destination, it's a journey. Keep learning, keep adapting, keep refining your approach. That's how you stay ahead.
Keep experimenting. Find new ways to connect with your audience. Build a brand that lasts.
Stay curious, stay innovative, keep building those connections. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.